Hello, YouTube. It is Wednesday, June 22nd. I don't know what shade of green that guy is waiting for. Wednesday, June 22nd, 2022, 3:45 p.m. And I just checked Google traffic. The freeways are a big congested mess. At least Loop 202 is headed downtown, as is I-10 through the tunnel, which is to be expected at this time of day. Anyway, I'm trying to handle two issues today. Normally I wouldn't be up this early, but the so-called girlfriend has a Cox cable technician in my home, which I'm really unhappy about, and I might talk about that, but I'm so upset I'll probably just say some really bitter shit that I don't want to say. So I'd rather focus on my errands that I'm running right now. I'm trying to. So obviously this kind of disturbed my sleep. Although to be fair, I did wake up before the Cox technician showed up, and it's a crapshoot as to whether I would have got back to sleep or not. Anyway, right now I'm headed to Jeff's Audio Repair, which is on 19th Avenue, just north of Indian School. So taking surface streets there just because it's pointless trying to take the freeway. It's just all congested, almost completely red, a little bit of it's about 50-50 red and yellow. I think I saw more red than yellow on the Google traffic view. So yeah, it's just easier to deal with all these red lights. And once I get synced up, mostly Phoenix has synchronized traffic lights. So once I kind of get synced up with the traffic lights, I'll be making a better time. And yeah, I did kind of go out of my way coming out on Palm Lane, but I was looking at the Google traffic view as I was driving out that direction. And I don't know, I guess I was optimistic I'd be able to use a little bit more freeway than I did, which is none. And at this point, like in the daytime, I just don't even bother trying to come out Oak at all anymore. There's just, in the daytime, there's just always so much traffic. Just traffic congestion, insanity. I think I'm going to take the left turn lane here. Oh, by the way, fun fact, notice the distance that I'm stopping behind the SUV in front of me. At most Phoenix traffic lights, that's the exact distance you need to, if there's a vehicle up at the front of the intersection, this is the exact distance you need to stop before him to trigger both sensors to get your green left arrow. And you get to go before everybody else. There's a taximan traffic tip for you. Learned that trick a long time ago. And it's amazing how many people will creep right up on the ass of the vehicle in front of them and then be frustrated because they didn't get the green arrow. You know, they have the power of getting the green arrow. They just need to not be, creeping up on the vehicle in front of them. Reasonably attractive woman walking on the sidewalk. There's Route 29. Anyway. Yeah, I was actually thinking about going across on Osborne, but the getting an early green left arrow was just too tempting to not do it, since the first vehicle was in place for me to trigger the light like I did. And I'm in the left lane because I know this 29 will be stopping pretty much every bus stop this time of day. Route 29 is super busy this time of day. Anyway, I'm headed to Jeff's Auto Repair because I'm trying to think when it was. I want to say, and I don't know if I mentioned it in my vlogs or not. I am, at this point. I remember I was doing vlogs at that time period, but it was so long ago, I'm kind of fuzzy as to the content of them. But, anyway, like mid-December last year, I did a Christmas party up in, DJ'd a Christmas party up in North Scottsdale. Large, like, extended family event, which was pretty awesome. And before that, I want to say maybe 2 weeks before that, I went by West Tech Recycling, a recycle technology store that I often affectionately call Ghettotronics. And I don't even remember why the hell I went there. I know I had to pick something up, and I probably mentioned it in my video that I shot that day. But this would be like right at the end of November. But anyway, I picked up three AV components, or 3 components. I've bought so many components there that I just absolutely don't need, and I've tried, which is resulted in me having like large storage bills to store them all, and God knows what I'll ever do with all this stuff. I initially bought it saying, well, I'm gonna restore some of that and sell it on eBay, but really haven't sold much. For the most part, I've just been hoarding it. I mean, I enjoy collecting this stuff, but it just sucks. I don't really have the space for it, so. Whatever, it is what it is. Anyway, so I bought 3 components while I was there. I bought and unfortunately none of the 3 worked, which I kind of expected. Typically when I buy components there, they're like $5. Now I don't remember what I paid for each of these, but I'm guessing I probably paid $5 each, and they were probably just, hey, as is, $5. One of them was a SVHS VCR. I believe it was an American release of it, so I'm assuming in NTSC VCR, but I'm not sure. I really haven't looked it up. I just plugged it in and quickly realized, it's got more issues than I can do a quick, easy fix on. But, anyway. Oh, by the way, I turned the right on red and decided to go on up to, Osborne, because another bit of like taxi driver, like one of the things that I do that gets me around traffic quick, if I roll up on a light like that as it's changing red, if going right on red gets me to my destination faster, gets me still headed towards my destination, I always do that. It's faster than just sitting and waiting at the light most of the time. And as I mentioned earlier, my initial intention was to go down Osborne. So that was the traffic gods telling me, hey, it's time to switch from Thomas to Osborne. I won't be delayed by a bus on Osborne. There is no bus service on Osborne, which is good for me as a driver, but I think is really cheating the people of the city of Phoenix. This road could really use a bus route, and you see there's a lot of people who live on apartments on it, and like look at all these apartments on the right here, large amount of apartments. These are comparatively lower cost rentals, and I say comparatively because they're probably running for like $1,400 a month now, but those are the kind of apartments you used to be able to get in Phoenix for like $600 a month. But here we are at the intersection of Osborne and 28th Street. And neither Osborne nor 28th Street has a bus route, even though both are thoroughfares. So if you live at this corner, to get to a bus, you either need to walk a half mile in the direction I came back to 32nd Street, a half mile in the direction I'm going, to catch Route 32, half mile in the direction I'm going to get to 24th Street and catch the Route 70, or a half mile to the north to the 41 on Indian School, or a half mile to the south to catch the 29 on Thomas, which to me is pretty screwed up. Like, no matter if you live in those apartments, there's a lot of apartments there, potentially a lot of people who would benefit from using public transit, and those people have a mile of round trip walking to go literally anywhere on a bus, because Phoenix can't be bothered to put a bus on this, which you can see is a very busy, car thoroughfare. As much as I love public transit, I am really, really glad I'm not riding the bus anymore, because it's just so god awful here. And it's things like this, like a street that, here I'm, got five lanes through the intersection, but no buses. In most any other so-called major city, you'd have a road this busy would have a bus line on it. As you can see, there's plenty on this road, and look how much vehicle traffic is on this road. But no bus. Interesting thing I'm on my way to. So there's a gas station coming up here on the left at the next traffic light at 20th Street, which is another thoroughfare which doesn't have a bus route on it. That has been in the news quite regularly because supposedly he's selling his gas at less than what he pays for it. And I saw a headline recently where he was refusing to cross the $5 barrier, and he's selling it at $4.99. So I expect he's probably got an insane, like 1979-esque line of people waiting to get to his pumps. Oh wow. The signs are gone. Yep, $4.99 unlead, $4.99. And there's no line out in the street, but there's a lot of people on that light trying to get to the pumps. That's actually cheaper than Costco, I'm pretty sure. I don't remember what I paid at Costco last time, but it was definitely over $5. So yeah, $4.99 gasoline, definitely the cheapest gas station in the Phoenix metro area right there. It's interesting that the signage is gone. It was a Valero, but it looks like the guy that runs it is no longer a franchise of Valero. He's an Indian man. I've met him many, many times. Really nice guy. I used to go there, not so much for gas, but I used to go there just to get sodas all the time. With my daughter Lily, she used to go to school less than a mile from here at Longview Elementary. So this was the route that I took to take her to school and back every day. Anyway. Back to the components that I bought. So I bought a really high-end VCR. I don't know a lot of details about the VCR. I didn't really look them up. I plugged it in to see what was up with it. It's got some notable issues, and I'm like, that's interesting, and then I put it in storage. But it does have an SVHS logo on the front. It looks like an American release of the VCR, and I say this because it's a European VCR. But I'm assuming it's NTSC. It could be PAL. It doesn't say. Anyway, it's a Bang & Olufsen VCR. I see a Bang & Olufsen VCR for $5. I see a Bang & Olufsen anything for $5. I don't care what kind of repair it needs. I'm buying it. I have owned very few B&O components in my life, and generally they sell for obscene amounts of money. I'm sure I could probably sell the thing for $50 as is needs work on eBay, and probably that's what I should do. But that part of me just really wants to repair it and use it for myself. All right, so we got a vehicle blocking traffic to trim palm trees. At this point, we're up to 5 lanes of Strode, but yep, no bus route. Thank you, Phoenix. And you see, there's lots of high density housing along this along this road, but no bus route to service it. It's kind of screwed up. Okay, what was I? Oh, so anyway, so I bought that. That's the same one I'm wanting to talk about. I just thought I'd mention that because I bought 3 components. That was one of the 3. The other one, which is also I'm not really wanting to talk about, I just want to throw it out there. I got a really nice Betamax VCR. I want to say it was a Toshiba. Maybe a Toshiba or a Sanyo. Again, $5. I expected it probably didn't work, but I see a Betamax VCR, any Betamax VCR, for $5. I buy it. No questions asked. These Betamax VCRs are so hard to come by, and again, I'm sure I can, easily quadruple my money and then some, just selling it on eBay as is, because it is a Betamax VCR. Any Betamax VCR, is hard to come by, and most of them can be repaired. I feel like I got better chances of repairing that one. Most likely, just the belts have perished on it, and it just needs, cleaned and new belts. But didn't open it. I just plugged it in and tried to use it, and I'm like, nope, it don't work. And again, it just went directly in storage. The other unit, and I finally started working on it this week, and that's what I am talking about. And I'm glad I got red lights on me to try to get this in the video. Oh, there it is. It is a Mida, or Mida? The brand name is spelled M-I-I-D-A. 8-track recording deck. And it's one of the, as far as like the quality of the components inside, the quality of the build, the features and mechanics of it, one of the finest 8-track recording decks I've ever seen. And so I'd never heard of this brand of audio, but I mean, I could look at the build of the deck and see, hey, this is a sturdy, Japanese built deck, silver face. The thing weighs a lot. And again, we're in that $5, yeah, I buy anything. I will buy any 8-track player for $5, unless it's like in a really gaudy, like all-in, really shitty all-in-one system. And I'm not fucking with that. But any component, like separate component, 8-track player or car 8-track player for that matter, for $5, I'm on it. Even if for nothing else, for parts for repairing my other 8-track players. I really love that whole 8-track collection hobby, and it's something I really haven't messed with much in the last year, mostly due to my depression and then since getting the job at Amazon, just not really having time to mess with my 8-tracks. But and let's not forget there's somebody invading my home, which limits my space and makes it difficult to navigate my home and enjoy my time at home. Anyway, I fully expected this deck would need some work, and it does. I was crossing my fingers that it would just need a belt. You'd be surprised how many 8-track decks that I find that's literally all they need. Well, usually what they usually need is a belt, because the belt perishes. I mean, this thing was probably, I want to say it was probably manufactured in 1977, 1978, maybe 76. I did a little research on the, by research. By research, I posted a picture of this in, let's be honest, research. I posted a picture of this deck the day I found it on the subreddit, the 8-track subreddit on Reddit, and somebody else posted some really interesting links about this audio company, Mida. So apparently they're one of those kind of companies comparable to, say, Mitsubishi and Yamaha. It's a huge Japanese company that puts out many different types of products, and apparently they're most known for guns. But for a short time period, they ventured into mid-tier hi-fi audio, and apparently put out some rather nice turntables and receivers, and couldn't find any information on this 8-track deck in particular, but I did find some reviews on the receivers, and the person who posted these links said that he used to have one of them, and it was as good as any. That it was definitely on a par with, say, Kenwood and Sony and other mainstream Japanese brands at the time. It was a good-looking receiver, but yeah, I'm sure if you see one, it doesn't sell much, because never heard of that brand. It certainly doesn't have the mystique of Kenwood or or Marantz. Not that Marantz is Japanese, they're American, but I'm sure you get my point. Anyway, so I'm very impressed with the build of this. And the other thing that 8-track decks typically need, other than a new belt is almost a given on any used 8-track deck I found. Right? The other thing they usually need is just the heads clean, the contacts clean. There's, it's at an 8-track player recorder, there's 2 electrical contacts that will make contact at the end of the tape with the metal foil tape on the tape, which tells it to switch programs. It's 4 programs on an 8-track tape. Those are usually really dirty, so those generally just need a little cleaning. I've actually found one of the best things to clean that with is literally a pencil top eraser. Just kind of a little wet napkin, dry it off, and then hit it with just kind of rub it with a pencil top eraser, and that gets those contacts super clean. The head, usually clean that with Q-tips and rubbing alcohol. And then the other thing that you generally have to do when you get a 8-track deck is you'll need to set the azimuth. Usually the azimuth is way off. 8-track, more than any other tape format ever created, is kind of a design flaw of the format. Every tape that you listen to, literally the mechanics of the player actually try to knock your azimuth out of alignment, which is the alignment of the head with the tracks on the magnetic tape. They literally knock themselves out of alignment a tiny bit 4 times with the play of every tape. And that's when it changes tracks, the head physically moves, and that movement, it's kind of a quick, jerky sort of movement, and eventually it just gets out of place. Any 8-track deck that you're regularly listening to, whenever you notice it starting to sound a little less than it should sound, that's the first thing you need to do is and it's usually a pretty simple adjustment. There's typically a screw right next to a housing that holds the head. And most decks will have a hole where you can get through it without even opening the player up, where it's a service hole, it's an alignment hole, whatever. And just put a screwdriver in that, adjust that, and put in a tape that plays good, and adjust that until your high frequencies sound as good as they're going to get. And switch to your programs, make sure that you're not hearing any crosstalk from the other programs, and that they all sound nice and crisp, high frequencies. I mean, there's not a lot of high frequencies. I'm not quite sure where it caps out, but I mean, when it sounds good, you hear it. It's like, yeah, it doesn't sound bad. And definitely once you do that, you want to check. Love-hate thing with me and these bus pullouts, but I'm appreciating it right now. Thanks for getting out of my way, bus. You want to adjust. You want to definitely try it with some other tapes, just because the azimuth, just because you lined it up azimuth perfect for one tape doesn't mean it's going to be perfect for other tapes. Anyway, I'm at Jeff's. I made a really good time getting here. It's only 4:08, so a lot of day left. Anyway, I was hoping I'd just come to Jeff. Will usually sell me an individual belt for just a few bucks. He usually has me really, really solid like that. But I was able to further test this deck. The motor is strong, by the way. That's another thing that's common is failure in the motor. Now, Jeff's got my other recording deck and has been unable to source a motor for it. And he's probably had the thing for a year and a half. And I'm sure he's not really actively trying to source a motor for it. And he gave me the information, which of course I've long since lost. But yeah, when the motors go, it's not difficult to replace a motor, but it's really hard to source a motor for an 8-track deck. But this thing's got a great strong motor on it, very, very strong motor and solid motor. There's some residue from the belt, which dried out as opposed to turning to goo. It looked like it turned to goo, and then it'd been sitting there so long that it dried out, and it's got some stuck to that. And I could probably clean that up myself, but let Jeff do it. Anyway, the reason it's coming here, that I brought it, well, I mean, obviously I need to get a belt, but the audio in the right channel sounds good. And I know this because I connected it, and there's a flywheel Hopefully I can pull this off without ending my tape here. There's a flywheel here, and then here's the motor, which there's where the belt, it runs around that, and this flywheel. And as you see, that's weighted, and that turns the capstan inside the player, which advances the tape. Pretty much all 8-track decks are built like this. Most of them don't have like this nice of a solid weight, much like the like a heavier platter on a turntable is indicative of a higher turntable, a higher quality turntable, because that weight will reduce your wow and flutter and keep things kind of turning at a consistent speed due to centrifugal force. Higher quality 8-track decks, one of the signs of it is that weight being nice and sturdy, which this is. Anyway, I was able to turn this by hand, not at exactly the right speed, but certainly enough to advance the tape, and it advances the tapes nicely, and was listening to some ABBA on it as I turned it by hand, and sound out of the right channel is good. Now I didn't bother to set the azimuth. I'm sure I can get the sound better by setting the azimuth. And I might even tell Jeff not to even fuck with that. But there's no audio coming out of the left channel. I noticed when I powered it up, the VU meter for the left channel was pegged, and then it went down, and there's no audio coming out of that channel. That's something I could maybe fix, but it's definitely that's a lot of diagnostic work to fix. About half the time I run into players that have that kind of problem, I can basically trace, and sometimes it's just a short in the cable on the head. It's just a short somewhere where the audio's not getting through. Sometimes it could be just a capacitor is expired from age. I mean, this thing is probably over 45 years old, around 45 years old. It's notice it's got a pretty beefy power transformer there. You can see there's a lot of circuitry in this thing. I mean, and I like the way each of the different circuit boards are isolated. I got a feeling this is going to be a great deck when I get it going. Or should I be real when Jeff gets it going? But it's at this point I figure I've got enough money and enough credit. Rather than try to work on this when I really don't have time to work on this. Now I've done the basic diagnostics on it, I'm just going to bring it to Jeff and have him replace the belt and figure out what the audio problem is in the left channel. And I'm pretty confident in his ability to fix it and do a really good job. So anyway, going to wrap this up. Still really impressed at how good a time I made getting across town during rush hour traffic to get here. We'll tell more about what's going on at home with the so-called girlfriend and the Cox repair guy and the other errand problem I'm trying to deal with today once I get back. So thanks for coming with me on the journey.